Yo, what's going on, man? I have not been live in a long time. I got a new setup, so you'll see me look at y'all occasionally when I do like this. Hang on, let me do like this. This is better. All right. So what we're basically gonna be talking about is, can you make 250K in tech within like your first 6 months? Also, Palo Alto buys Dig Security. They also buy Talon. Microsoft has a big deal that they recently announced with Amazon with Microsoft 365. Also, Okta explains what they think caused their breach. And Google also warns you how hackers are going to try to use your calendar to connect to C2 servers. So, a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. This video is being sponsored by Riverside. Since 2020, we've seen so many remote podcasts come our way, and they've been recording on all different type of platforms. But let me tell you what the best one is. Meet Riverside. Riverside is so simple to use that when you want a guest to join your podcast, all you have to do is send them a link. And guess what? Riverside records not only you, but your host locally on their machines, bypassing poor quality and internet connections, so that when you get to final product, you have superb video quality. Riverside provides you with the state-of-the-art remote podcast studio. In Riverside, it records great audio. It records in separate tracks. And it also can use AI to transcribe your podcast within minutes. But that's not all it can do. Riverside can also complete your podcast within minutes, and it can create you short form content called Magic Clips AI within minutes. This is a game changer here, guys. We all know making podcast content and putting it out takes a long time. But with the exception of AI being used in Riverside, it's perfect. So if you want to get started using Riverside, check out my link in the description and use my code TEXTUALTALK to get 15% off of your purchase. All right, and we're back, man. Welcome to episode 107 of the Textual Talk Podcast. I'm your host, HD. And I've been simple claiming me being the best podcast out right now. We're the best tech podcast out. I think I'm the most well-rounded. And I thank all y'all for showing up and saluting me today, helping me out with that. And the reason why this wasn't put out is I got a new setup, as you can see. This kind of like going to be where I start doing some of my streaming stuff. But I was recording on Streamlabs and I tested. I always test my sound before I record anything. Tested it. I seen I was getting an echo and I listened to it. I was like, cool, the echo gone. So I recorded the whole thing yesterday, played it back. It kept on doing me a delayed echo all throughout the video. Tried to just figure out if I could just get it to stop playing, and I couldn't. It was like 11 something last night. I said, no, I'm just gonna go live. And I've been meaning to actually go live with y'all. I'm actually going live again on Friday with the Job Father. We'll be talking about anime and tech. That'll be at 12 p.m. So I'm gonna be putting that thumbnail out soon. And you guys will hopefully y'all tune in at 12 p.m. Central Time on Friday. But what we're gonna start the episode out with is last week Twitter was in a blaze with this young lady. She was talking about how she made 250K in her first 6 months in tech. And I'm gonna preference this with people have to realizing that tech is actually a industry. So you can actually already have high level skills somewhere else and just come into the tech industry. That doesn't mean you're actually an entry level person. So I'm just prefacing that when we start reading everything. But let's go ahead and get into it. 1 second. So let me put this banner up. All right. Now let's present it real quick. All right. So she said, I hit a quarter mil within my first 6 months in tech. I need half by the end of my second year. I got stuff to do. It's time to double up. And so listen, I like to always go off of exactly what you say. And here's the thing. You never want to make assumptions. You know what they say when you make an assumption. I'm not gonna say it on my stream because I'm monetized and yeah, I want the bread. But look, anyways, people started inferring a lot of things that she did not say in this tweet. And also we could tell people were not familiar with her by just making assumptions. But I want to look into the quotes so we can have a good time looking over this and we'll talk about it. What I did on the stream, and I'm not going to do it today because I'm kind of pressed for time, is so I did look up like a BA, and I'm in the DFW area. So a BA, I think you can get like 110, 120 just from one role. And then from a product owner, you can do, I think like 250 just from one role, right? So what she's saying is not impossible if you are doubling up, as she says. Like this is what her role is right here. So we could go through these if we want to, but all the spice is in the quote tweets. So let's look at the quotes. And we're gonna play a game. I don't know if y'all familiar with shout out to the chat. I'm gonna try to talk to y'all, but I'm also since I'm gonna use this audio as a podcast, I'll probably get to the chat later so I can answer any questions people still have. Yo, we got 31 people watching, but like 8 likes. I need them likes up, man. Please get those likes up for me. So we got the first hater on the thread, right? And if y'all familiar with the Joe Budden podcast, you know my guy Queen Flip like that's hate. This is hate. I'm gonna tell you why it's hate. Let's click on it. People, please stop listening to this BS. There are absolutely zero entry level jobs in tech that are going to pay you 250K with just 6 months experience, especially W2 jobs, especially business analyst, project on what she said, project manager, but I think she said project product owner job. She states W2 and BAPM in the thread. Now, chat, did she ever say, is something going on with my stuff? Hey, y'all let me know if y'all can still see my screen. It shows me still live on there. I had the YouTube freed up to duplicate this. I just want to make sure everything's still good on y'all end. So give me a thumbs up if everything's still good on y'all end. Okay, perfect. Cool. I won't worry about YouTube then. I guess it went back. So where are we at? All right. So number one, she never said she was working an entry level job. And let's see what else he said. Absolutely zero entry level jobs. Yeah. And then also she didn't say anything about having entry level experience. So for people that aren't familiar with her, she does talk about like she's overemployed. So If you don't know that, then you're gonna go in here and think that she owes you some type of transparency when she's been given that transparency for the last year. Like since I think I started following her, she's been talking about what she was doing. So let's keep on going. Some of y'all feel this is a hate post. It is hate. It's hate because you didn't get any clarifying questions. It's not trying to help set expectations for some of y'all who feel you can get into tech and 6 months later make six figures. It can happen, but it's very, very rare. Been in this industry for 2 decades. Check my LinkedIn. I'm easy to find. Hey, but people got to stop doing that. I've been doing this for 20, 30 years. The pay scale was very different back then. Like people was getting underpaid. A lot of people stayed at jobs too long. So some people who've been in a long time hadn't seen what the money the new people come in. It's a pretty proven fact. Unless you are high up at a company, you could possibly be making a lot of money, but that person who they just hired is making more than you. So sometimes you got to leave and come back to get what you want because HR can't afford to. Well, it's policies in place that they can't give you the biggest raise that you want. It sucks, but that's how it is. So that's why I never really say, "Hey, I've been in a decade and you can't do that." There are outliers. And then he said to prove when I did a quick LinkedIn search for PO or PM jobs, found a high paying PO for context. Read this description and you decide if someone with 6 months in tech will get the high salary range, even or even two jobs at low range. But that's the thing. He's fixating on 6 months in tech. He doesn't know what her background is. And then we're gonna get on her. I'm thinking she's working two W2 jobs in the contract, but publicly say this is kind of nuts. Now that I think about it. Let me add there are absolutely zero W2 BAPM jobs paying 125K with 6 months experience. She's blazing line, and I see your post referencing your solid 4-year journey. All right. I'm not gonna go through much down here, but he that's hate. I'm telling you, Joseph Rutherford, that's hate. You should have just asked her some more clarifying information. That's hate. Now let's see what else we got for the quotes. Here you go. This is the one that was most hate. Okay, I take my retweet back. How are you able to do this? 3 W2 jobs? I understand workload wise it's doable. I think transparency is key, especially if you're sharing info publicly. Here you go. Hey, look, comparison is a thief of joy, everybody. Don't compare your journey to nobody else's. I had the same skills as you, Scrum, BA, Auto, Healthcare, Tech, but no security clearance. And I don't realistically think I can clear 250K in 6 months unless I'm doing something illegal. Now, look, that's hate. I need y'all to comment that's hate in the chat if this ain't hate. Because when you all make say I'm doing something illegal, that's hate. Also, saying because I had the same skills as you, that's hate too. It ain't in corporate, the person who's sometimes smarter than you, the best person on the team, sometimes getting underpaid. So that has nothing to do with it. It ain't about, it's not about what you're worth, it's what you negotiate. I always remember that. That's what it's about. So that's what it's really about. It ain't about what you're worth, it's what you negotiate. Hey, that's right before the billions. It's it's most people are overemployed, and I'm not gonna go through her whole thing to show you what she's talking about, but she doesn't owe anybody anything because hey, if you're a first time person on her page, like go do your research first before you just kind of jump out there. Yeah, it is envious. It is envious. That's facts. And look, shout out to my girl Markeisha. She's gonna be on the show soon. As a career coach, I understand it's natural. I like this. It's funny. I understand it's natural to encounter moments of self-doubt, but making the income you desire is probably with the right strategies in place. Build a strong professional network and surrounding yourself with mentors and supporters is key to success. Success in your career is a journey that requires patience, dedication, and belief in yourself. If you're looking for guidance to achieve what others have, feel free to reach out. It's the self-doubt in the room with us right now. Look, in your own words, I had the same skills as you, but no security clearance, and I don't realistically think I can clear 250K in 6 months unless I'm doing something illegal. That's like, that's it. And I tell people this all the time. You have to kind of change how you think about things when you get older. Companies do mergers and acquisitions all the time, and we're going to actually talk about that when we start talking about what Palo Alto has been doing. They do mergers and acquisitions all the time. That's buying multiple business, typically multiple jobs. People got to run those things. But when you put yourself in your best self-interest and can maintain these multiple jobs, all of a sudden you're doing something illegal or it's supposed to be hating on. Nah, stuff is high. You got companies giving you 3%, 5% raises, When inflation, it costs so much to get groceries. Like we probably spend, and it's a family of 4. My kids are small, so we probably spend 12 to 1500 just on groceries alone. So imagine if you're not doing anything else on the side, but your salary stays the same. You're gonna be struggling. Why wouldn't you do what you can if you can handle it? And the cheat code is a lot of people have multiple contracts because we want to talk about, can you make 500K? Absolutely. If you have high, if you have high level skills, of course you can. You could get 2 contracts that pay you 100 an hour. That's $200,000 a piece for like 2 contracts. And most of the time, as your titles go up, you have less work unless you're like in a non-technical role. We have a lot of meetings. If you don't have a lot of meetings and you're just a fixer, it's absolutely doable if you can clear 500. There are people that clear 500 and one W2 role. I posted on here. Let me see if I can find it, and then we'll go about to the next stuff. Actually, shout out to Bees. They got a day in the tech life episode that's coming out. But some of these comments are funny. Tech Twitter and Scissor certainly have something in common. But most of the people that say that, when Chris Brown said, "How you gonna hate from the outside of the club? You can't even get in." A lot of these people not even in tech. This person. Now, this is what I describe a person coming in as entry level and doesn't know what they're talking about, because she says this person is lying, even with commission and after tax, you aren't doing that. I was making at best 65K in a tech company from being promoted 3 months in. No job, especially right now, and especially with the layoff boom, is paying that. But see, she doesn't know. She just got in. She don't know nothing. So, Capricorn's groom, know your place, fam. This is a blatant lie. Entry level. This is DC, not ATL. You don't got a lot of kick it. She never said entry level. Where did she say entry level? I want somebody to show me that. I have people that have years of experience doing IT and other areas. They don't have to go entry level. So if they said, "Hey, I got into cybersecurity and in 6 months I made $300,000," people gonna say, "Oh, you lying, is entry level." No, they just got into a different skill set niche. That's it. But we'll keep on going. But I want to show you guys something because I think I post these things sometimes. Um, because people sometimes lie when get mad when I bring my what these people are called, my guests on. They'll say like they capping about their salaries. And I vet most of everybody that comes on the show. I don't have a VA reaching out to people. I'm the one that establishes these connections to bring everybody on. Let me see. Okay. So I initially responded to this guy, right? He was talking about Mr. Hater. He was saying black tech Twitter still scamming. I see no tech job is paying 250K unless you're like a consultant with a senior experience. But the clearance, I'm gonna point some of these out. So he's talking about the clearance. MGM Caesars Palace are hiring Linux developers and pen testers for 100 hour with experience. She had to be working 4 or 5 W2 jobs, all remote, to clear that number. But the point is, he's saying so many different things. He don't know what he's talking about. He's conflating a lot of different things. People always equate security clearance with a lot of money. So I posted this and I said, not true at all. This is a role that reached out to me a couple of months ago. No clearance required. It's not a consulting role either. And this isn't the highest number I've seen from just one role. And I'll read it for y'all real quick. This is my LinkedIn DMs. And I was talking to these people about this role. And they were pretty much hiring somebody. They want a security engineer, specifically actually to deal with DLP for an investment company. And it says 250K base, but it could go up higher to 250K base. And that wasn't even including bonus or anything like that. And it's one a consulting role, just a senior level role. So I do tell people that if you have the experience, then you don't necessarily have to always just worry about all the other stuff. But is it doable? Like B just had a young man. I think he's pulling in like 400. He got multiple contracts and some other stuff. It's doable. Being overemployed. I think the real strategy is going from W2 contract gigs and trying to start your own LLC and trying to do corp to corp. If you do corp to corp, you can charge as you want to. You can absolutely hit that number out the park. That's what a lot of people and a lot of my friends that I know who have companies there working corp to corp. And they started off working on the contract and then developed a good relationship with the company and asked them, like, could they do corp to corp for them? So that's a strategy you can do. And I'm going to bring on some friends to actually talk about that, because that's the side we don't know a lot about. I think I did. Matter of fact, shout out to JB. If y'all guys know JB John Breath, we did an episode a year or two ago, and he talked about how he started getting his company up and how he started going corp to corp for the company. But that's something I want to talk about, people, because that's totally legal. That's really the best way to make a lot of money. And then in that way, you can also hire people, maybe give people a shot who wouldn't normally get a shot. But yeah, that's one of the big ways you can do that. But now I want to go into, I think the juicier thing is to talk about Okta and how they're blaming their employee on their breach. And it's really negligence and lack of compliance controls on their part. And we're going to talk about GRC in a second. So let's get it real quick. Let me zoom in there. All right. It says Okta hack blamed on employee use a personal Google account on company laptop. A brief postmortem from Okta security chief David Bradbury said the internal lapse was most likely avenue for the breach that ensnared hundreds of Okta customers, including cybersecurity companies Beyond Trust and Cloudflare. We can confirm from September 28th, 2023 to October 17th, 2023, a threat actor gained unauthorized access to files inside Okta's customer support system associated with 134 Okta customers, or less than 1% of Okta customers. Some of these files were HAR files that contain session tokens, which could be in turn used for session hijacking attacks. And session hijacking attacks are probably one of the biggest ways that people get hacked, like especially influencers on social media with social media. And even if you have MFA, it won't matter because they'll be able to bypass it and get into your session. So that's why you do have to be mindful of when you get all these things in your DM and you're not familiar with who this person is. Don't click the link, because even if you have MFA set up, they'll be in. And most of the time they go in and try to change your email and do everything else. And it's a pain to get back into your account. But let's keep reading. He said the threat actor was able to use the session tokens to hijack the legitimate Okta sessions of 5 customers. Bradbury said that they leveraged the service account stored in the system itself that was granted permission to view update customer support cases. And guys, all a service account is a account that's probably most of the time used for like automated tasks. Like you'll see in an environment, sysadmin or somebody is using a service account. It has certain permissions that it can do things, but most of the time it's a privileged account that it can do things. And but when you see it, you also know that most of the time it's expected behavior from what you see from it. It's very rarely not unexpected behavior. And that's where the detection piece of this comes from. Is like when the service account is doing something you don't recognize, that's when you need to look into that a little bit more and say, what's going on? They don't typically do this. This is out of the hours that we typically see them run scheduled jobs. So doing our investigation into suspicious uses of this account, Okta Security identified that an employee has signed into their personal Google profile on the Chrome browser of their Okta managed laptop. The username and password of the service account had been saved into the employee's personal Google account. Ooh, let me stop sharing because I want to talk to y'all real quick. Are y'all serious? First of all, why are you even able to sign into your personal account on your work laptop? Why would you even put company proprietary confidential information onto your personal Google account, wherever it was? Why would you do that? Two, why is the company not providing ways for people to store passwords in a secure manner on their work laptops? These are questions that you got to ask yourself. And I know they're asking themselves, like, why? It's very simple. It's very simple. People shouldn't be able to do that. Like, even for us, like we can't even download plugins, no nothing. It's blocked. Everything got to go through the help desk. You got to put a ticket in for it. If you need a software, you need to request it, because if you do have a local hardware, a local like password manager, like for example, we used to use KeyPass at Optiv, and I put all my passwords there. So in the case I did get compromised, they still would have to figure out how to even get into that and then get there to get that password. But that's neither here nor there. Let's keep on reading. Let's keep on reading. Let me go back to it. The most likely avenue for exposure of this credential is the compromise of the employee's personal Google account or personal device. And that's it. 9 times out of 10, how do most of these things work from social engineering, and they're very good at it. So if they know what you do, and maybe you find out, okay, they work in the customer support system, or they do this and they do that, and they target you like they've been doing, it's gonna be easy for them to figure out and get you, especially on your personal machine, let alone if they have to get on the work laptop. For a period of 14 days while actively investigating, Okta did not identify suspicious downloads in our logs. When a user opens and views files attached to a support case, a specific log event type and ID is generated tied to that file. If a user instead navigates directly to the Files tab in the customer support system, as the threat actor did in this attack, they will instead generate an entirely different log event with a different record ID. And I wonder, how did they not know that that happened? Like, is the threat actor the only person that did that, to where they got those two different audit logs, those IDs? If it is, that's a shame. That's another thing that could have been brought up. The Okta chief security officer said his team's initial investigations focused on access to support cases, and later made a major breakthrough after Beyond Trust shared a suspicious IP address attributed to the threat actor. With this indicator, we identified the additional file access events associated with the compromised account. Okta has found itself in the crosshairs of multiple hacking groups that targets its infrastructure to break into third-party organizations. Now they say a sophisticated hacking group targeted IT service desk personnel in an effort to convince them to reset multi-factor authentication for high-privileged users within the targeted organization. Also, these are different controls you can put in place. When people are high-profile VIP users, they typically shouldn't call the help desk to get a reset. They should have their own separate communications that everyone doesn't know. It's only on a need to know basis. That it's like executive support. Like when I used to, and I'll tell you, right, this is my stream. So when I worked at Alto, we managed security operations for Disney. So if we seen someone with a VIP person that needed their password or something changed, so we need to verify where they're traveling, we call that executive support, not the regular help desk, because we're the only people that had that number. Well, certain people in the company, but it's easy to find like the regular help desk number for general regular clients or customers or workers, but that's one that should be segmented. So they shouldn't be able to really have that number unless they got a mole in the house. They say in that attack, Okta said hackers use a new lateral movement and defense evasion methods, but has not shared any information on the threat actor itself or its ultimate goal. It's unclear if it's related, but last year many Okta customers were targeted as part of a financially motivated cybercrime campaign called Octopus. All right. Yeah, Okta is they need a better GRC team. And speaking of GRC, if you're interested in GRC, then you need to check out TechPreneurs Club. I got the link in my description. They help people get into GRC. They also provide you like mentors, interview prep, access to some internships. So GRC is still a thing. I think I skipped over the part in the article where they're saying like it was a failed control that they didn't recognize. So they'll get better from this, but it sucks if it's like every time I think of breaches, I always think about, okay, controls, security ops. When did they notice that, like, hey, this unauthorized IP we don't recognize logged into our system to do to hijack some sessions? Like, I always think about these things. How long were they even in the environment? How did they maintain persistence? So hopefully, Okta keeps on providing everyone with information on how this happened, because what we typically do in these cases is we take this information, like our threat intel teams, vulnerability management, SecOps, IR, we all look at this information and we start trying to build our detections around it so we can fortify our defenses so we are not susceptible to the same attacks. That's typically what happens. So if you're planning on interviewing this week or the coming weeks for a security job, they're going to try to ask you, hey, how do you keep up with the news? Tell them like this. Like I go through and I research through like Bleeping Computer, TechCrunch, Business Insight, anywhere that's pubs and cribs on security. I think Sands has one too. Anybody that's publishing security related content, tell there and I read that. That's how I keep up on all the latest attacks. And I share them on my team. I had a client one time, he was in my Slack channel, and because my security news channel that I have in the Slack channel, speaking of, I think you can join my Slack with the link in the description. If not, I'll post it into the chat. But he saw my stuff and he was able to share with his team, and they were able to come up and fix the vulnerabilities that they had with whatever exploit that was out there. And I think he got promoted or raised from that. I got to ask Derek about that. But that's the whole point. You'd be surprised who's not paying attention, who's just going home and coming to work. So be that person that just does a little bit extra. Whether y'all don't even have security stuff coming out all the time, or a really good threat intel team, if you see some stuff, just send an email for everybody every day. Just something to stand out. Let's say, okay, he got his head on a swivel. You know, football, you got to keep your head on a swivel so you don't get cleaned up. But I want to talk about Palo Alto's, where is it? Dig Security, and we'll talk about them confirming the Talon buy. So, Palo Alto Network buys Dig Security, sources say for $400 million. So, y'all remember I did a video, I think last month. Cisco wants to buy Splunk, and they're doing some layoffs for that too. So, when they can do those mergers. So, that's how that happens. Hey, we got what? 50 some people watching, but only 28 likes. Come on. Y'all get me up there. Y'all get me up there. I want to make sure I got some content out to y'all this Monday because I know I got a busy week. And yeah, I need y'all to get them likes up. And eventually I'm gonna hit y'all with that rock and roll music that Kevin Samuels used to hit people with when they want to get the likes up. But we reported September that Palo Alto was getting ready to make yet more security acquisitions out of Israel, specifically Dig Security and Talon. Today's confirmation on one of those has arrived. The U.S. security giant said it would be acquiring Dig. The company is not disclosing the financial terms, but we know it's around 400 mil. Okay, let's get to it. Let's get to the good stuff. Tech is a huge part of the country's economy, with cybersecurity being especially a big part of that. But movements in that industry, investments, mergers and acquisitions, expansions, product launches have in many ways ground to a halt in the wake of current political events. Remember, I just talked about mergers and acquisitions and expansions. The company's looking out for their best self-interest. I suggest you always do the same. It's not like the old days. You can't work 25, 30 years in one place and get a pension and retire. They taking their money back. So do what you got to do. Anyways, we already know what's going on with Israel and Palestine, Gaza. I'm not covering that. As we previously reported, Dig focus is data security posture management. Specifically, it helps understand where an organization's assets reside across the cloud. And this is huge. Most companies don't just have one cloud environment, they have multiple cloud environments. And if you take that into effect, if they have different companies that they own now and they got their cloud environments, it can get a little hectic. Or more likely like a mix of cloud environments, providing a picture to security teams both to help understand what is moving where, but also what to look down and where in the event of a breach. The company's tool will become a part of Palo Alto's Prisma business, which focuses on cloud security. Yeah, we currently use Prisma right now. And right now, I think we're using it more of like letting us know if a policy out of day or some type of change is made. This is a violation. This needs to be fixed ASAP. So it's kind of like right now, it's more like compliance auditory. It gives us pretty much enriches the alerts we get, like typically from AWS and Azure now. But this is big. This is huge for Palo Alto. As companies build AI-enabled applications, there will be a substantial increase in the amount of data transferred to the cloud. Dig's highly innovative DSPM technology helps safely enable this shift, and its dedicated team will complement and help advance Palo Alto network strengthens across cloud security. So they're going to buy Dig, but let Dig operate as a solo. The announcement of our intent to join forces with Dig reinforces our longstanding commitment to our team in Israel and to continue growing our footprint with its talent and dedicated cybersecurity professionals. Modern cloud applications leverage a broad set of data stores to meet complex needs of businesses. They develop a award-winning DSPM solution, yada, yada, yada. That's a lot of stuff. I'm not going to bore y'all with all that. But check this out, guys, because people always talk about, is it still too late to get in cyber and cloud? I'm about to read this for you. A McKinsey report from last year notes that breaches are on track to collectively cost $10.5 trillion annually by 2025, a 300% increase on 2015 figures. While a lot of companies have clamped down on spending and IT budgets over the last couple of years, security is one area where they have returned to spending, even when other categories have remained frozen or constrained. Now, I just want to tell you that, like, everybody's always talking about, it's don't get into cyber, it's oversaturated, all this other stuff. Listen, man, breaches still happening every day. People losing more and more money every day. Companies still want to fortify their systems. That's what I've been telling people too. A lot of people want to get onto the red team. I'm like, look, blue team, purple team, really where it's at. They need more help defending from the threats than trying to get that. They can get people to do penetration tests actually for cheap now. Like the blue team is the hardest part right now because you're having to adapt so fast. That's where the value is right there. And speaking of that, if you want to get into cybersecurity and you don't know where to start and you need a good course with a good instructor, check out the sponsor right here. This video will be sponsored by Level Careers. It has a 14-day money-back guarantee. It's a 8-week self-paced course, employer reimbursement, and counts for continuing education. Here are some of the reasons why you can choose cybersecurity: high demand, job security, competitive salary, work variety, and fulfilling work. The national average salary of an information security analyst is $113,000. Your instructor is Josh Madakor, and here is the brief overview of the course: theory introduction, security refresher, security frameworks, security regulations and standards, security operations signals. Then you have these great labs with Azure, logging and monitoring, Microsoft Sentinel, secure cloud configuration, and they help you with job hunt and job hunt execution. Use my code to try out Level Careers. You'll get 10% off by using my code, and you'll be taking the next step in propelling your career to new height. Now back to our scheduled programming. All right. So as y'all seen, that's a big number. So do not stop about getting to cloud, especially cloud security. So if you can get into the cloud and then niche cloud security, man, you're gonna do a great job. Hang on, let me get some water real quick. But I briefly want to talk about Talon because that's the other company that they bought. Like they doing some big things over there. Where we at? There we go, Talon. Confirmed, Palo Alto has acquired Talon. Cybersecurity sources say for $625 million. And I'm not too familiar with Talon, so it'll probably tell us on here. Palo Alto has just confirmed one more major piece of security startup. It has acquired Talon Cybersecurity, a specialist in building enterprise browser for securing distributed workforce sources. Source said the deal's value at 625. All right, let's see. Talon had raised about 143 million. I don't care about that. Let's see. Let's see. The bigger, 'cause I want to get to like why Talon is a good company or a good fit for them to buy. The bigger cyber picture and how Talon fits in. The deal, Palo Alto said, will help address the rise of different devices and apps that are being used in organizations, some of which are not provisioned by organizations themselves. The average enterprise uses hundreds of SaaS and web applications, meaning that most work is now done primarily via the browser. Yep. Talent enables organizations to secure all work activity via an enterprise browser without touching the personal usage of the device or impacting user privacy. Integrating Talon with Prisma SASE will enable Palo Alto networks to securely connect all users and devices to all applications, including private applications, and apply consistent security no matter who the user is, what device they use for work. Today's announcement underscores our continued belief in the strength of Israeli cybersecurity ecosystem and our commitment to our growing team in Israel. While bring your own device offers an advantage for productivity, it also a source of significant security risks. I agree. Let me see. Talent's enterprise browser empowers security teams with deep visibility and control over all work-related SaaS and web activity on all devices, including personal and unmanaged endpoints. SASE solutions must evolve to secure unmanaged devices with the same consistent security applied to managed devices so that users can securely access business applications using any device from any location. The unique combination of Prisma, SASE, and Talent will transform how organizations navigate the challenges of today's modern and connected digital environments. All right. Yeah, this is a lot. I'm not going to read all this. I'll probably eventually post all these articles I used today. But that's cool because I remember at two of my last financial companies, it was BYOD. We used the Citrix on our own computers. And in a way, it's kind of secure, but not really because there's a lot of things I can still do on my own computer that you would not be aware of with me using Citrix on there. But if it was on an actual company issued device, it'd be totally different. So I think this actually will help the bring your own device actually be a little bit more secure. I don't mind bringing your own device, but I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that secure. For people who don't know how to do stuff for technology, no. But for people that like you, this term that you use in cyber that people don't realize it pays a lot of money, insider risk management. Those are people you got to watch out for bring your own device. Those are the people you got to watch out for. So hats off to them. They're really killing it. Now they may or may not have some layoffs when it comes to that, but I don't know. I need to see what the rankings are because Palo Alto really makes some good products. I really like using Cortex. I think Cortex came and killed Phantom for real. All right, so I'm briefly going to talk about this, and then I got the last Google thing, and towards the end, I may be able to get into some questions before I have to go. So I'm trying to speed through some of this stuff. Amazon's 1 billion cloud deal with Microsoft includes 550,000 licenses for corporate employees and 1 million for warehouse workers. So if y'all don't know, these people is like they're not enemies, but they are rivals. So imagine Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network teaming up, right? ABC, NBC, anybody. Like imagine them teaming up. So Amazon's multi-year commitment to use Microsoft 365 includes more than 1.5 million licenses seats across different tiers of Microsoft cloud-based productivity suite, according to a person with direct knowledge of the deal. This arrangement involves Amazon spending more than a billion over 5 years, according to an internal Microsoft document viewed by Insider and two people familiar with the matter. Amazon already uses an on-premise version of Microsoft Office products, but is moving to the cloud-based version of these productivity tools, according to one of the people. The pact includes around 550,000 seats of Microsoft 365 E5 product for corporate workers and 1 million seats for Microsoft 365 F5 for frontline staff such as fulfillment center employees, the person said. All right, so Amazon had around 1.5 employees at the end of 2022. We believe that number to be lower now. That's not what it says right here, but I believe the number to be lower now based on some layoffs. The move represents a major reset of relationship between Amazon and Microsoft. The two companies are bitter crosstown rivals and are fighting for dominance of the cloud computing market. Now, Amazon is becoming a major cloud customer of Microsoft, and this is big. That's what I want to get at, like how Microsoft and Amazon were able to do this deal because this is the thing. People always want to do their own thing sometimes, but sometimes it's just somebody that's much better than you at doing that specific thing, and you just let them do it and then go do what you're good at. A person familiar with Amazon operations said the company stayed off the cloud versions of Microsoft 365 products because they didn't previously want to save anything on a competitor's cloud. And I agree with that sentiment as well. As you guys know, back in the day, we didn't have access to 365 like we have now. It used to be, well, when I first started about got introduced to computers probably 20 years ago, was you get the Microsoft CD and it had like Word and stuff on it. You download that, and now it's like installed on your host. But I couldn't go to the library and access my files. I had to send it to myself in an email or something. Only enterprise companies had things like SharePoint at the time. So now everybody pretty much has their own individual personalized version of SharePoint 365. When I got this new computer that I'm using right now, all my stuff came back from the laptop I previously had, and all my documents that I've been saving in my OneDrive were there. So that's what they said. Hey, we didn't want that. Like, you got to think about it too. It's like, do I want my rival having access to my pretty much confidential information? That's one of the things you have to think about. However, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of verbiage in that contract about what they can and can't do. Even like, for example, we were talking about penetration testing earlier in Blue Team. When we have companies come in and do penetration tests for us, there are only certain things they could do. They got to get access to the environment and do this. They can't do certain things, or it's going to be a big fine, or somebody's going to get in trouble. So you still got to have pretty much implicit access to say, okay, you can do that. And right here, they're just talking about the difference between E5 and F5. E5 is the more expensive one that comes with more security features and can let you do up to 1,000 attendees. F5 is like a upscaler version, but it has some of the same features as E5, but it's a lower price for Microsoft. And they're talking about right here the price, which we know since they're going to lock into a contract, it's not going to be as expensive as everyone else. And an Amazon spokesperson said, adding up these M365 sticker prices grossly overestimates the value of the deal, but declined to comment on the $1 billion spending commitment described in Microsoft's internal document. Microsoft did not comment. Who knows? But all I'm saying, this is good. Now, when I was pre-recording this at one point in time, I said, I wonder will we ever see Apple say, hey, we want to use G Suite products? Or will we see Apple say, hey, we want to use 365 now? So who knows? Who knows? Now, I think we got the last one right here. I saw this earlier. I had something else that I was going to talk about that I talked about on the stream I did yesterday, but I felt like this may be a little bit more important to people based on how many people use Google Calendar and other things on their phone that they're just not paying attention. All right. Google warns how hackers could abuse calendar service as covert C2 channel. Google is one of multiple threat actors sharing a public proof of concept exploit that leverages its calendar service to host command and control C2 infrastructure. The tool called Google Calendar Rat (GCR) employs Google Calendar events for C2 using a Gmail account. It was first published to GitHub in June 2023. The script creates a covert channel by exploiting the event descriptions in Google Calendar, according to its developer and researcher, who goes by online alias Mr. I don't know how to say that. The target will connect directly to Google. The tech giant in its eighth Threat Horizon report said it has not observed the use of the tool in a while, but noted its managed threat intelligence unit has detected several threat actors sharing the proof of concept on underground forums. GCR running on a compromised machine periodically polls the calendar event description for new commands, executes those commands on the target device, and then updates the event description with command output. The fact that the tool operates exclusively on legitimate infrastructure makes it difficult for defenders to detect suspicious activity. Yeah, I think could be a big one. Now, if I know, like on your cell phone, if you're not paying attention and you are, I'm just gonna say, on some sites that got like a lot of malware, potential stuff that's like malicious that you can come across, there are times when you'll see something like you'll open your calendar and try to make like a event or something on your calendar. You gotta close everything out real quick, or else I don't know what's gonna happen to your phone. But I'm thinking that's a little bit of kind of what this is. I would love to probably like see a video of the proof of concept just to actually see that. Here's a picture of like showing what's going on. Um, so that's a good little diagram. The development highlights threat actors' continued interest in abusing cloud services to blend in with victim environments and fly under the radar. This includes an Iranian nation state actor that was spotted employing macro-laced docs to compromise users with a small .NET backdoor codename. I'm just gonna say Banana Mail. Yeah, Banana Mail for Windows that uses email for C2. The backdoor uses IMAP to connect to an attacker-controlled webmail account where it parses emails for commands, executes them, and sends back an email containing the results. Google's threat analysis group said it has since disabled the attacker-controlled Gmail accounts that were used by the malware as a conduit. Found this article is interesting. Follow us on Twitter and LinkedIn. All right, that was actually short. I thought it was gonna be longer. So this is let me throw this last one because I know I didn't where is it real quick? That was the last one I had, but then since it was so short, I want to see if I can go into the one I was looking at yesterday. Probably can't. Oh, you know what? Let's talk about this real quick. Mr. Cooper was hit by a cyber attack. So that was pretty interesting. They initially said they had an outage, but we know most of the time when the company say they got an outage, they've been attacked. And they say that because they don't want to just alarm everybody and put them in disarray. You only want to tell somebody what they need to know. And then eventually you have to let your customers know, like, hey, your information possibly could be out there. We don't know yet, but yeah, we were hit. Okay, this is the one I want to talk about real quick because I thought this one was interesting. SOC 5 systems proxy service infects 10,000 systems worldwide. And we'll just get over it real quick. But a proxy botnet called SOC 5 systems has been infecting computers worldwide via the private loader and the Medi malware loaders, currently counting 10,000 affected devices. And the reason why I want to go through this one because it was a more in-depth write-up, and it talked about how they want to establish persistence on the machine. The malware infects computers and turns them into traffic forwarding proxies for malicious, illegal, or anonymous traffic. It sells the service to subscribers who pay between $1 and $140 per day in crypto to access it. Now, let's see. SOC 5 Systems, detailed report by BitSite, clarifies that the proxy botnet has been around since 2016, but has remained relatively under the radar until recently. All right, let's go right here. The proxy bot payload is a 300 kilobyte, 32-bit DLL. It uses a domain generation algorithm to connect with its command and control server and send profiling info on an infected machine. In response, the C2 can send one of the following commands: idle, performing no action; connect to a back connect server; disconnect from the back connect server. Updips means update the list of IP address authorized to send traffic; and upduris, not implemented yet. The connected command is crucial, instructing the bot to establish a back connect server connection over port 1074. Once connected to the threat actor's infrastructure, the infected device can now be used as a proxy server and sold to the other threat actors. So, one of the things that we always typically talk about when it comes to security is kind of disabling ports you don't need. So, you want to make sure you disable all ports that you do not need for a reason. And what we used to do when I worked at JP Morgan, I was like on data analytics as connectivity assurance team. And we just went through reports of our firewall rules and what type of traffic they were doing, why certain ports were needed and why they were open. And that's one of the reasons right there. If it doesn't need to be open, then we need to close it because it's potentially a risk. When connecting to the back connect server, it uses a field that determines the IP address, proxy password. I'm sorry. When connected to the back connect server, it uses fields that determine the IP address, proxy password, list of block ports. These field parameters ensure that only bots in the allow list with the necessary login credentials can interact with the control servers, blocking unauthorized attempts. So let's see where we go. Bit site map. I don't want to talk about that. Because I'm trying to see. It's a point where it tells us, because I'm almost done with the article, but I might have skipped over it. Let's see something real quick. Oh, there we go. I skipped over this, but I want to read this part. The samples seen by BitSite are named previewer.exe, and their task is to inject the proxy bot onto the host memory and establish persistence for it via Windows service called Content DWSVC. So sometimes in interviews, they may say, how would somebody want to establish persistence on the host? So you can say, hey, well, they could possibly inject the proxy bot onto the host memory and establish persistence with their own type of Windows service that's trying to make it look legitimate. And you can research a little bit more in case they want to go more in depth in that. But like I said earlier, if you start going through some of these, you'll learn a lot. And then you can just start researching and using this information in your interviews, because nobody's going to know 100% everything. All you got to do is know what you know and know what you don't know. But this isn't that big a thing. Now they see most of this distribution in the United States, Brazil, Colombia, South Africa, Argentina, and Nigeria. And they got 2 subscription services for standard and VIP. And it's limited to the VIP is SOC 4, SOC 5, or HTTP, which is these are just secure ways of connecting. And yeah, here are the tiers. But let me stop sharing that. All right, guys, that's pretty much all I have for y'all today. Let me see if I got any questions in the chat before I get out of here. Drew Nikus. Yeah, I talked about the Dallas attack a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, I went over the Okta breach. It's earlier on in the stream. It's earlier on the stream. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much what I have for you. If you enjoyed everything, please make sure you like this, share it out, and come back and watch it and add some comments or something. Also, like I said, I'll be going live on Friday with the Job Father. We'll be talking about anime and tech. So come with some questions. We'll be marketing that some more to everybody, so we can really help people out that we can in the time frame that we have allotted for that live stream. But I appreciate everybody. Appreciate y'all for rocking with me. Until next time, it's your boy HD, and I'm out. Peace.